You are watching the Tuesday night edition of Chicago Corner. Woo!
Hello, and welcome to Taco Tuesday. Who wants a taco? Yeah, I know. Taco. All right, everyone, act normal. Perfect. Now, everybody say.
Oh my God! It's Taco Tuesday!
Good evening and happy Taco Tuesday, Chicago. I am deep dish pizza enthusiast Edward Heller, and I'd like to welcome you to the Tuesday edition of Chicago Corner. And what should we do? Oh, I know. I got a great idea as soon as I hit a couple extra buttons that you guys don't need to know about. So let's start off with our first thing here. Did you guys know that it's National Scurvy Awareness Day?
1, 2, 3, 4. Our gums are black, our teeth are falling out. We got spots on our back, so give it up and shout. We got scurvy, we need some vitamin C. We got scurvy, we need a living tree. We got scurvy, we just chilling on the scene.
Let's get this scurvy started. So I would play like that whole video, but I know we would totally get dinged. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, happy National Scurvy Awareness Day. Every May 2nd is National Scurvy Awareness Day in the United States. Sickness is caused by a lack of vitamin C in the diet. And we all know that you can get vitamin C from citrus, but did you also know that you can get it from 9 other fruits like guava, yellow peppers, black currants, spinach, kale, and what else? Kiwi, and broccoli, and also, oh, hold on a second. With me today is Jerry Vasilatos with some breaking news. I know that's not the normal breaking news clip, but I couldn't find the other one on my Tuesday show stuff. So I hope you don't mind, Jerry. Oh, we don't have your mic working right now. Oh, there you are.
2 things. Those are 2 copyright strikes right at the top of the show. You remember when you played that very brief clip several weeks back from Superman?
Oh, did that? Yeah, I'm sure that dinged us. Music,
well, hold on.
right?
Well, you muted it. Literally, there were like 3 seconds, 4 seconds of the Superman theme. You muted it, and Warner Brothers hit us.
They still hit us with it.
And I appealed it, and they denied our appeal, so I escalated it. But in the same escalation, I essentially told Warner Brothers, shame on them, and to go get bent. Because for them to, literally 3 seconds, and you couldn't even make out the music, and they still doubled down.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally fair use. They were celebrating.
Of course it was. Well,
right.
I think the pink clip was also fair use. This breaking news theme, I think we got hit for it before, so we got
really? The one that I use all the time on the wing. Where's the wings?
Oh, maybe no. I was thinking that this was an older one that I used. Okay.
No, I had to doctor one of my "Where's the Wings" thing with a breaking news title because I couldn't find the other breaking news.
That's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, I'm like, well, I can't use the old one. We got dinged on that. Yeah, but we got a lot to cover on this show. There's like every 5 seconds there's more breaking news, so we got to get to this while we can here, Jerry.
Okay.
Today, the Chicago Police Department will name former officer Fred Waller as the next interim superintendent.
A source tells CBS 2 investigator Brad Edwards the announcement will be made tomorrow. Waller will come out of retirement to take the job after he stepped down in 2020. He spent 34 years with the department, rising through the ranks to become chief of operations, chief of patrol, and then third in command. Waller will take command when current interim superintendent Eric Carter resigns on May 15th. That's the day Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson is sworn in.
Yeah.
Breaking today.
Oh, sorry. Let me take that off the screen. Actually, I don't have to take that off the screen, so we'll just switch to the next one because there's more breaking news.
Yeah, I saw this, and it seems that score one for justice here. All 4 convicted as they deserved.
Came up with this evaluation.
Let me break this back to the original beginning.
Right now, we want to turn back to that breaking news involving the ComEd trial. All 4 defendants, we are told, in this trial have been convicted on all counts. Prosecutors accuse them of crossing the line of legitimate lobbying due to their relationship with the former Illinois House Speaker, Mike Madigan. The charges range from bribery to falsification of records. And again, all 4 found guilty on all counts involved.
Can you pause it for a second, Ed?
Yeah.
Do you know all lobbying should fall under the same kind of conviction? The only reason that I'm glad they're crucifying these 4, okay, because it basically seals the case against Madigan. But make no mistake, this is what all lobbying is about. Because they decided to set their sights on Madigan, they are making a bigger deal of it than they normally would under every other instance of lobbying, which we know is just bribery. Bribing our elected officials so that corporations and companies can get what they want against the better interests of the average Chicagoan or citizen.
Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna watch the whole thing, but I wanted to watch some of it. So let's get a little more into this story.
Bringing in CBS 2 legal analyst Irv Miller now. Irv, let's just get your initial reaction to the verdict.
We're dealing with jury trials in federal court. Typically, this is what happens. U.S. Attorney's Office doesn't usually proceed on a case unless they're pretty sure they could win. And I'm pretty sure that's how they felt about this particular case with respect to all 4 of these defendants.
So, Irv, our reporter, by the way, Tara Molina, is coming out. So as soon as we can get to her, we will. But Irv, if we're talking about charges that range from bribery to falsification of records, what type of time could these defendants be facing?
Not enough.
What the statute says the maximum is and what they're going to get are usually 2 different things in federal court.
Of course.
There's a 15-year maximum on the bribery conspiracy charge, but there's what we call federal sentencing guidelines, which give a judge some idea of what similar defendants get across the country for the particular charge. And
Pause it for a second.
Way less than the statute.
So
what's the difference between white collar and blue collar criminals is essentially what the judge is going to weigh and how they're going to get the more lenient sentence, if anything, aside from maybe a time served. Well, maybe they haven't served any time yet.
Yeah, they must have like a little slap on the wrist guide. Let's see. Who else is getting a slap on the wrist for something like this in other parts of the country, and how much of a slap are they getting?
Right. Such a joke. Such a big fucking joke. We know how it's going to play out. I mean, we're calling exactly what's going to happen with the judge when he sentences them because we know this is just what they do.
I suspect there's going to be prison time involved, but it's not going to be anywhere near the maximum sentence because you're dealing with 4 individuals who have no criminal background.
But you know what? If it were the maximum sentence, wouldn't it stop other companies from, I'm sorry, I was about to say lobbying, bribing our elected officials? If you don't set an example and throw the book at these 4, it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop.
Okay. Let's skip ahead just a little bit here.
Room, and we want to check in with her right now. Tara, can you give us a better idea of what happened when those verdicts were read?
Hold on. Oh, they snuck a little ad in here. I love these guys. All right.
Joe and Erica, we just heard guilty on all accounts, on all 9 counts for all defendants. There are a couple of counts that only pertain.
Oh, I actually like the word offendants. I think that's more appropriate, actually.
Should be more, yeah.
To 2 of the defendants, Ann Pramajori, former CEO of ComEd, and Mike McLean, who was a lead lobbyist for ComEd. This follows more than 6 weeks of trial, hundreds of emails, secret video recordings, wiretapped phone calls. That's what led up to this jury making this decision. Again, guilty on all counts. We didn't really see much of a reaction from the defendants. I was in what's called an overflow room, so I could see what was going on camera. But I will say I do think that there was a little bit of a surprise here to see this unanimous across the board.
Okay, we're going to skip ahead again.
Witnesses that now come forward that are willing to testify against Michael Madigan that may not have been willing.
Wait, let me back up just a second.
Oh, so maybe they're gonna charge him harshly so that they know they're gonna throw Madigan under the bus to perhaps save their own skins.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get into. Is like how this was going to interact with them going after Madigan.
And I suspect that he's gonna, if he doesn't have a heart.
Irv, I don't imagine anyone was watching this trial as closely as Mike Madigan was. How does this verdict impact what he's now facing?
I'm sure he's well aware of what this verdict was. I'm sure he was paying close attention to the evidence that came in every day. And I suspect that he's going to, if he doesn't have a heart-to-heart with his lawyer tonight, I think he'll have that conversation with his lawyer tomorrow and trying to decide what
he was on the phone right when they...
Yeah, I'm pausing because Dominic hits the nail right on the head here.
Pretty much.
He says they have no criminal background except for the numerous criminal activities leading to their indictments, which we really don't have them convicted on. So.
Which is
quite a paper trail of crime.
Yeah.
Strategies as far as going ahead with this case. And also, it'll be interesting to see if anything happens with respect to any other witnesses that now come forward that are willing to testify against Michael Madigan that may not have been willing to do that before. And I'm specifically...
Yeah, now that they know that they're actually going to get convicted if they don't speak up. It's got like they're all scurrying right now to try and figure out how they can make a deal.
Did you say scurrying or scurvying?
Yes, both of those. See, it all comes back to the because it's National Scurvy Awareness Day, and seriously, it really is a holiday.
I thought that was just a pirate illness. I didn't realize it's something that we worry about in modern day.
Well, it turns out the pirates are the ones that discovered that it was a problem, and that's why they started carrying things like citrus on their ships, because vitamin C, I mean, people don't realize, just to prevent scurvy, sure, but vitamin C is a great vitamin in itself because it helps your body heal better.
Speaking about some of the defendants in this particular case that were found guilty today.
Okay. So if we talk about the charges, Irv, how they compare between Mike Madigan and what these defendants face. So we mentioned the bribery, the falsification of records. Just to remind people, what is Madigan facing, and could it be as lengthy a sentence as what these defendants are?
Absolutely, because he's got not only a case dealing with Commonwealth Edison, but also with dealing with other particular issues that he's charged with in his particular case. He's also charged with other defendants in that particular case. Obviously, he's the target of this entire investigation. The goal of the government, obviously, was to get the Speaker of the House based upon information that they had, information from witnesses, information from recordings which were played in court over the last several days that are clearly incriminating as to the former Speaker.
Okay. So here's my thought on them. When I hear the statement the feds went after the Speaker of the House, I'm thinking, oh man, that would be a dream beyond Michael Madigan, Nancy Pelosi, for all of her insider trading. Let's set our sights high. You got Madigan. Yeah. Let's set the sights higher now, feds. There's clearly other big white collar crimes out there that have not been addressed.
Yeah, well, on the federal level, it's a whole other animal too. Although I don't know if in the other breaking news, I heard that AOC was calling on Dianne Feinstein to resign.
Really?
And I'm like, okay, how about the rest of you?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good start. It's a start. I mean, Pelosi should follow. Mitch McConnell, Turtle Boy, he should be next.
Yeah, well, I mean, but then it may also be that she was given permission to call on her to resign, which means that she was going to anyway.
Let's be very clear. Anything that AOC says or claims in public, it's been vetted by her neoliberal Republican light overlords over there in Congress.
Yeah, or her cough CIA handlers, allegedly.
And, some tough decisions have to be made when you're a defendant in that particular situation.
Okay, I think I was going to skip ahead to around 7:40 something. Let's see if there's anything good up here.
With us here, I just want to take our viewers through the 4 involved here and what they're being found guilty of. We have a graphic to show you. Michael McLean, as we were mentioning before. We also have this former CEO, Ann Primajori. There's also a retired ComEd vice president, John Hooker, and
I'm just going to pause here for a second to note that ComEd's new logo sucks.
Well, look, that's reflective of the company, Ed. Why not select a logo that reflects how much their company sucks?
Yeah, I mean, I
don't even know what that looks like. Some kind of neonatal symbol of I don't know what.
It looks like someone took a screenshot of a screensaver and inverted it.
Also, I wonder if that's because they're with the amount of money that they bilk people for, they're too cheap. Maybe that's AI generated.
Huh.
That looks like an AI generated logo. Because how in the world would you pay anybody to come up with that as your corporate logo?
Yeah, you know what? We should talk about AI on Friday, but we have such a jam-packed show today. And I absolutely want to talk about AI because that's going to be a real big problem real soon.
I've just dived into the AI rabbit hole with AI image generation, and I'll share with you off the air why, because it's might provide some opportunities for us in the future.
Yeah, but that's a good observation that generate possibly a logo generated by AI.
Yeah, I think that's what that ComEd logo is.
That seems it seems possible to me.
Because what is that logo? A logo. Sorry to interrupt, but a logo is supposed to represent a company. A logo is a brand. What the fuck does that represent or say? I don't see electric company. I don't see power. I don't see electric. I don't see anything from that logo.
The other problem about that, from my perspective, is ComEd had no need to change their logo. If they're trying to rebrand themselves so that they're a kinder, gentler electric company that's less corrupt, blah blah blah, etc. Okay, maybe, but this is not the way to do it. Wait till the trial is over before you decide to go messing with your well-known and established logo type brand.
I wonder if they're already trying to distance themselves from the scandal, finally the shit that just hit the fan with this trial. Because, it's interesting too, in years prior, how Comcast rebranded itself as Xfinity. And it's like, well, what's Xfinity? What about Comcast? Oh, it's the same company. They're just choosing a new name and rebranding because everybody used to share how much Comcast sucked and how much money they cost. So they just changed their name and thought that people wouldn't realize it's the same company. So I wonder if this is an effort to, basically try to throw people's attention away from the fact that
it's short-sighted from marketing departments and brand and sales departments to think that you can just change your name and change your identity, and all of a sudden everything you've done in the past is gone and nobody remembers.
Everyone's going to forget.
We remember. Pepperidge Farm remember.
And if anything, it basically just throws more attention on the fact that we know that they're trying to bamboozle us even more. I mean, it's so disingenuous what they're doing.
Yeah. So let's get through the rest of this, and then I'm going to flip to the next story.
Majority. So these are the 4 involved right now that have been convicted today. So Irv, Tara was talking about how 6 weeks. 6 weeks is how long this has taken. 5 days to deliberate. Given your experience on both the prosecutorial side and the defense, does that fit with the timeline that you would think for a case this extensive with 4 defendants being tried simultaneously?
Rule number 1 in these cases is never try to predict what a jury is going to do, either time-wise or what the verdict is going to be. And I think that's particularly true. And when you have a case like this that lasts, so long, and there's so many exhibits, particularly when the exhibits are listening to telephone calls, watching videos, those take up a lot of time. And I have to tell you, it's not unusual for jurors to deliberate. If you recall, Blagojevich and Ryan, their juries deliberated for 10, 11 days before they reached a verdict. So it's not something that's unusual. I think this was a fair amount of time based upon all the evidence. And I have to tell you, the questions that Tara spoke of, the questions that these jury asked for over the last few days are really intelligent questions. It really showed the dissecting not only the evidence in the case, but they found an inconsistency between the indictment and the instructions that they called to the court's attention. This jury did a great job taking what their job is, evaluating things, not making a rush decision, and came up with a verdict that I think will stand on appeal.
Okay. So there was interest. 3 comments on Rockfin really quickly, Ed. I want to share since I can't pop them up here. Dick on Rockfin shares with us. Conned, CONNED, was already taken as far as the
Con Ed.
Yeah, Con Ed should have. Yeah. Conned. They just should have changed the M to an N, but that was taken. Also, the logo doesn't look AI. It looks like a ribbed condom view lengthwise. Yeah, probably because of the screwing they're giving their consumers all the time.
Thank you for those comments, Dick on Rockfin. On Rockfin. His name says Dick on Rockfin.
Yeah,
on there, which is awesome. So, he also. Oh, there's more. There's more for Dick on Rockfin.
There was more before that. Yeah, but I was related to.
Please don't talk about AI, not before you get to the bottom of the alien UFO issue. Oh, that's a whole other can of worms. I just hope that that Uncle Warren comes back to do another Mundus Ultra soon. So that he can cover all that stuff properly. But anyway, okay, we're done talking about the ComEd trial. We're flipping over to the next story, ladies and gentlemen, which is there's a writer's strike.
Yeah.
Again. So this comes from IndieWire. Brian Welk. Writers' strike to begin Tuesday, and the WGA, Writers Guild of America, calls for work stoppage against the studios.
And to anybody that thinks or claims that writers in Hollywood make too much money, the last time they striked, that's what got you reality TV. So if that's the kind of television you want to watch, and that's the kind of storytelling you want to watch, shitty reality TV, don't support or defend these writers. And I do support these writers. Because as you and I know, Ed,
along those lines,
go ahead.
Along those lines, Jerry, let me load up a supporting graphic for you here.
All right. Creatives are all too often overlooked. Yeah.
From the AFL-CIO. This is why Hollywood is officially on strike. Hold the line, WGA East and West, WGA Strong, hashtag WGA Strike. Ari Emanuel from Endeavor is making $308.2 million.
Fucker. Off of other people's work because he brokers the deals. But he doesn't want the people he brokers the deals for to make any amount of money worthwhile to support his.
So let's just go briefly over the salaries, and then I want to jump into the story. David Zaslav, CEO of Discovery, is making $246.6 million. Bob Iger, Disney, $45.9 million. He's probably making more now.
And you know how broke Disney is.
Yeah. and that's there's two guys from Disney listed here. Bob Chapek, $32.5 million. Rupert Murdoch from Fox, $31.1 million. Reed Hastings from Netflix, $40.8 million. Ted Sarandis, also from Netflix, $38.2, and Brian Roberts of Comcast.
Comcrap. Now, keep in mind, everybody, none of these motherfuckers has a creative bone in their bodies. And these are often the CEOs that second guess the writers, which gets you such substandard programming anyway. I mean, I don't think all shows right now are running on all cylinders, but this is because you've got creatives, directors, writers, always second guessed by the executives who are making these insane amounts of money that don't know anything about storytelling, character arcs, creativity. I could go on and on and on.
Yeah. So this article was from yesterday when they declared that they were going on strike. So some of this stuff is basically happening now. But I'll read it in the way it was written here. Writers' strike of 2023 is about to begin. The Writers Guild of America is calling for a strike against the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, or AMPTP, after the two sides failed to reach a deal on new minimum bargaining agreement that is set to expire on May 1st.
By the way, the producers have a union also, right? Producers,
do they?
I mean, yeah, of course there's a producers union. There's a directors union too, the Directors Guild. So all the creatives in Hollywood have got their own unions, and you would think that these creatives would stand up with these creatives. But the fact that they have to stand up to the producers is very indicative of the fact that the producers don't think the writers have a right to be earning more off of new media, residuals off of streaming, which was the result of new technology that wasn't factored in to their last agreements the last time they had a strike. All of this emerging technology with, if you work as a writer on a show, really quickly, just for some context, this was a big factor in the Disney lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson. She did the Black Widow movie. She negotiated a deal by which, her deal was firmly set for theatrical, and there was a window until it went to streaming, but they took it out of theaters early and put it on streaming faster, which took money out of her pocket because they expected they were going to have a longer run in the theaters because of new media, because of the fact that everybody's rushing to put shows on streaming, and you don't make as much money on streaming. So that, along with the fact that writers are creating content for one medium that then goes to Hulu or one of these other streaming services, and there was never a deal negotiated for them to get residuals then. So a lot of this has to do with like fairly compensating writers for all the new markets that their writing is going out to. That's earning money. Okay. Every time, remember what the promise of cable was, Ed? Oh, you're going to be paying for it, but you're not going to have any commercials. Every channel is commercials now, every streaming service, and Disney's and Netflix are going to be putting commercials on, even though you're paying a premium for broadcasting. So for these content providers to claim that they're broke when we are inundated and saturated with advertising that costs the advertisers a lot of money, I call horse shit.
So let me get into the story. Let me get a little further down, Jerry. I know you're very connected to this because you work in film, but I want to get the basics out here. The Guild unanimously rejected the final proposal from AMPTP before the deadline, and the Board Council unanimously voted to strike based on a proposal that the Guild said amounted to turning writing into a, quote, gig economy. Though we negotiated intent on making a fair deal, and though your strike vote gave us leverage to make some gains, the studio's responses to our proposals have been wholly insufficient, given the existential crisis writers are facing. The company's behavior has created a gig economy inside a union workforce, and their immovable stance in this negotiation has betrayed a commitment to further devaluing the profession of writing, the Guild said in a statement Monday. Now, there is a link to the statement in the show notes, too. I didn't want to read the whole statement because they're quoting from it in this IndieWire article, where they cover a lot of the stuff I probably would have fast forward or skimmed down through. So I'm kind of glad that we have independent journalists doing this kind of stuff, so it helps us do things a little quicker. Okay.
Every project starts with a script. Nobody gets employed.
Yeah.
The directors don't make money. The crew doesn't make money. The cinematographers. Nobody works on a project unless you've got the blueprint of the writing. And that is what is so often marginalized and dismissed as not being a valuable commodity.
Yeah. Where did I leave off? Oh, here we go. The company's behaviors create a gig economy inside a union workforce, and their immovable stance in this negotiations betrayed a commitment to further devaluing the profession of writing, the Guild said in a statement Monday. From the refusal to guarantee any level of weekly employment in episodic television, to the creation of a, quote, day rate in comedy variety, to their stonewalling on free work for screenwriters and on AI for all writers, they have closed the door on their labor force and opened the door to writing as an entirely freelance profession. No such deal could ever be contemplated by this membership. I'm glad they're sticking to their guns here.
Yeah, me too.
Because really, they're one of the first lines of defense against automation. And again, I know I wasn't going to get into AI, but that's going to be part of it. I had predicted online that because what had happened the last time they had a writer's strike, we got reality TV, that abomination.
Starting with Survivor.
Yeah.
Which is still on to this day. And it spawned the Learning Channel became the reality channel, the Discovery Channel. You got all these shitty shows about people in horrible relationships or looking at houses. You know, it's like
Yeah, and I understand that some people are kind of addicted to that type of programming now, but it's honestly
garbage
the
TV.
stuff. It is garbage TV. It's fast food TV basically. And I'm predicting that what's going to happen is they're going to get AI to write some really warped and twisted game shows, and that's going to be the next garbage television that we see cropping up everywhere. AI is going to come up with a preposterous premise for a game show, and then they're going to freaking try and make that happen. And it's going to be a train wreck.
Well, I think
on television.
I think the way AI works though is you give it a set of parameters and then it writes the program.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't need a writer to do that necessarily. They just have some executive just plug in a couple words or phrases.
Yeah, feed it ideas.
Anyway, that was I digress. That's not in the story. That's just me.
I have a great idea for a game show.
Yeah.
Based on everything we always go through. We should create a game show called What's My Trauma? See if you, the audience, can guess what is the trauma that drives our contestants in the way they act and behave and deal with life.
And it could be hosted by Tommy Lee Jones, and so they spend like 10 minutes telling him their trauma, and then he goes,
I don't care.
And then they spend the next 15 minutes just looking at the person's shocked response.
So Varen chimes in, as a shareholder in Warner Brothers Discovery, I voted against compensation for Zaslav and other executives, on top of voting against him and another executive to stay in leadership. Yeah. It's interesting. The shareholders' votes don't seem to carry much water anymore. Over there, or AMC, or any other stocks that are manipulated by all the big shots. Companies that are manipulated by the big shots.
Okay, where did I leave off? I need to give. I sort of should give fair time at least to the response from the AMPTP. In a statement, the AMPTP said that negotiations concluded, quote, without an agreement late on Monday, with the sticking points being, quote, mandatory staffing and, quote, duration of employment, which it says are, quote, guild proposals that would require a company to staff a show with a certain number of writers for a specified period of time, whether needed or not. You know, that's called having a job.
And they're needed. I heard some people on social media today saying, why do you need more than 2 writers for a show? Because when you're lining out 8 or 9 episodes of anything, that's the whole point of a writer's room. You don't have to take the input of all 6 or 8 writers in the room, but it stimulates the creativity, because I've written screenplays And my screenplays don't benefit until I give them to other writers for feedback or get input. So this isn't just job security. It's like keeping the creativity going in a writer's room.
And that last part where they said whether needed or not, who determines that? Who determines whether those writers should be present for the situations that are happening when writing or editing needs to take place?
No,
How do you know?
They need to be present so they're all informed. Look, I'm speaking from an educated perspective as a creative who's worked in the industry and understands how all this stuff works. And for the layperson, again, who thinks that writers make too much money and don't understand what the process is behind the scenes to deliver a script, not just for one standalone movie, but for an entire like season with like 8 or 13 episodes. It's the blueprint by which everything is built upon. It's the skeleton everything is built upon. And unless you got something solid, and unfortunately, a lot of times you don't have something that solid. There's a lot of writing on some shows is a little bit lax, but I don't think that's for the writers not being talented. That's also, executive interference. But the fact remains, you need to have a strong skeleton and blueprint to build any media program on top of, and without that, you have nothing.
I think I had there was a tweet I retweeted that was really, really good, and I hope I have it here, but something tells me I don't. Someone was listing like a bunch of different shows that basically made all the different streaming platforms watchable, and they were listing like the shows that made people want to watch Netflix.
I could say right off the top of my head, Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
That was revolutionary. Another one that I actually kind of like poo-pooed at first because I thought, who wants to see that story? We've seen the movies, Bates Motel, which went 5 seasons. And it was about like, what was the story behind Norman Bates and his mother? I mean, it was kind of a reimagining, but it was a very, very compelling horror drama, and that's what brought a lot of viewers over to, forgot the channel it was AMC. I think it was an AMC program. I might be mistaken. I think it was another AMC program, maybe not. But I think Breaking Bad is the model that everybody should go to. Compelling, episodic television that doesn't feel like it's your average network TV drama, which is constantly punctuated by commercials and everything's
House of Cards.
House of Cards is another one. Yeah. That's another one on Netflix. Yeah, until Kevin Spacey's downfall.
And then, what about all the writers who did all the new Star Wars series for Disney?
Yep, Jon Favreau's crew for The Mandalorian.
Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and I don't know if anyone else in the live chat is using streaming services can remember like an epic series that.
Dude, I can go even farther.
I mean, it's writers that make those series what they are.
The Sopranos back in the late 1990s, early 2000s.
Right, that made people want to actually subscribe to HBO when people used to actually subscribe to cable.
Before they started using other means by which to get their programming.
But then, then when they switched to that HBO Max thing, they did that Sopranos prequel that made people tune in for that. So
Take on Rockfin shares. I'm wondering how exactly Luciferian Freemasonic symbols and hints and predictive programming gets written into the scripts at Netflix studios. Is there a writers' meeting where they go over pyramids, eyes, etc.? I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah. So I mean, they and the writers have support of SAG-AFTRA, so that's the actors union. So. This is good news because what'll happen is you're obviously going to have some freelance actors out there that either not part of the union or desperate for work. But if you have the actors union basically choosing not to cross the picket line for the writers union strike, then you're basically shutting down episodic television.
Absolutely.
And that's got to be hurting them.
Big Mr. Firebird shares, yeah, Filoni and Fav are outgunned by the poor writers under Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, you're right. Because Kathleen Kennedy isn't a writer. She's an executive. And that's a very good example, all across Disney Star Wars and how unfortunately, the writing is dictated by the know-nothing, uncreative executives who think they know more than the writers. Anyway, it's a whole other rabbit hole to go down.
So there's that, and I guess I think that's enough coverage of the writer's strike for now. But I'm sure there's going to be more to talk about as that develops. But speaking of developing, we have more breaking news. Hang on.
Some shows from the live chat: Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, Better Call Saul, A Handmaid's Tale, to name just a few.
Lightfoot is dead. Oh no!
What?
No, not that Lightfoot. Canadian
Everybody,
singers.
Ed caught me too when I was preparing the show because I barely listen to music. I'm like, what? What is this going to be about?
Oh, should I do it again? Should we do the take again? Wait, let's go take two. Hold on. Let's take two. Breaking news here on Chicago Corner. Lightfoot is dead. No, not that Lightfoot.
Woo! Oh, darn. Spoil my buzz.
Yes. Sadly, Canadian singer-songwriter Gordon Lightfoot has died at the age of 84. Some of you may remember his song, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And had I not had a full-time gig and very little time to prepare, I would have made a proper parody song for all of you related to the wreck of the city of Chicago due to a different Lightfoot who is very much still alive.
So, refresh my memory. The Edmund Fitzgerald, that was about a ship that went down?
Yeah, it was actually, it was a ship that went down.
In Chicago?
Where?
Yeah, the Great Lakes cargo ship.
Lakes.
Okay, I'm remembering now. Yeah.
It's like the song went and over and over and over and over again.
Sounds kind of like a pirate ditty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, actually, and they're showing this little video in silent there of the other thing that we were going to talk about. But I can't really play Gordon Lightfoot on here, or we will get dinged for that for sure.
Big Mr. Firebird, you could be right.
Okay, so let me move over here. Hold on. These websites, I swear.
Or wooden stakes.
Yeah.
Pick your poison.
Gordon Lightfoot did music and
color.
stuff. And, here we go. Canadian singer-songwriter whose enduring folk hits include The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald and Sundown, died Monday, a spokesperson told CNN. He was 84. Of natural causes in Toronto. His death comes less than a month after he canceled his 2023 U.S. and Canada concert schedule due to health-related issues. Found success on the U.S. pop charts in 1970 with the song If You Could Read My Mind. And if I could read Oreo's mind, Oreo would like me to say rest in peace, Gordon Lightfoot, and move on to the other stories because there's way too much to talk about. So rest in peace, Gordon Lightfoot. And where are we at in the show notes? Yes. We are finally here at I-55 Dust Storm Apocalypse.
People ask me all the time, Chris, if you could only take one.
No, that's not I-55 Dust Storm Apocalypse. Hold on a second.
That was a crazy story. They were like, how many cars was it?
The last hour about that deadly pileup downstate, all a result of a midday dust storm.
A 30-mile stretch of I-55 remains closed in both directions south of Springfield and will be through the night. Let's get
that was from yesterday. And let me load up the next one here because there's like 3 videos. I just wanted to give you the setup there.
Good night, big Mr. Firebird.
Thanks for watching.
55 is now.
Hold on. Here we got Fox 32. If they'll let me start at the beginning. Okay.
Well, I-55 is now open, but the actual crash itself still a shock to people living nearby.
It breaks my heart to see what happened. And you say it's 6 dead. It's awful. You see some of the cars over there, just how bad it was. Pray for the families.
Between 40 and 60 vehicles were involved in the crash. Joining us now with more on that is Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly. Good morning to you. And first, let's talk about the conditions as of right now. Has traffic reopened there?
Yeah, good morning, ma'am. Yes, our folks have been working very hard all through the night since this terrible event occurred yesterday morning. And now finally around 6 a.m. this morning, traffic is open on Interstate 55 in this area again.
Now, of course, one of the big questions I think everyone is asking at this point is, if you're a driver, what do you do if you get caught in something like this?
Well, look, anytime you have an accident or a terrible event like this, one accident involving just 2 vehicles, speed is often a factor. So what?
Yeah. When you have 0 visibility, please slow down. And by the way, they actually, right before I left my office today, there was an update from IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation, on Twitter, mentioning that they had low visibility conditions again right before rush hour. It had cleared up though, so they were telling people to either stay off I-55 temporarily, and I think that's maybe the solution. Is like everywhere, just everybody stay off the roads. Let's just, it's too dangerous. There's no visibility. Just don't go anywhere. Just stay home. As the show screeches to a dead stop.
Is that because you're having video problems?
What?
Why is it screeching to a dead stop? Because the video.
Oh, just because I did a dramatic
okay.
pause.
I didn't think
dramatic pause.
A Bill Curtis pause, if you will.
Yeah. So it was pretty crazy. The people were posting on social media with little videos and stuff about like what happened, and I don't think there's any more in this one. Let me see. Yeah, I think they're just doing it over in the loop, and they're asking this guy. Let's go to the next one here.
Police still have a lot of work to do after 6 people died in what was a massive pileup after a dust storm south of Springfield. As CBS 2's Charlie DeMar tells us, there are still dozens of mangled cars and lots of questions about who is to blame.
The dust.
Yeah, it's those dust bastards.
Who's to blame? Well, okay, yeah, certainly people may have been driving fast, but you're on a highway. I mean, probably the solution would be you have lowered visibility, drive a little slower. But I mean, how can you blame anybody for this? This is natural disaster.
Yeah, I mean, if the weather conditions just come to a situation where the winds all of a sudden pick up and they take all this dust with them, and then you go from 100% visibility to 0 visibility in a very short amount of time, there's not really a whole lot of warning there. You're driving 45 or whatever on the road, and all of a sudden you can't see crap. What? Yes, you got to slow down, but
I'm going to give these drivers the benefit of the doubt. I would imagine that when visibility changes that quickly, I'm sure most of them decided to hit the brakes, not speed up. But at that point, all bets are off because you don't know what the hell's going on in front of you.
Well, and also jamming on your brakes could have caused some of those pileups as well. There's really, I mean, it almost no way to win there. I think their advice was that once you see a zero visibility situation happen like that, like a dust storm, that you need to get off of the road as far away from it as possible to avoid the pileups that are almost certain to happen.
And I've got some other breaking news real quick that just popped into my email.
Okay.
Good news. After reviewing your dispute, Warner Brothers Films has decided to release the copyright claim on your YouTube video.
Oh, is it from the Superman thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We waited 30 days for them to deny us, and then I appealed it, and they were supposed to have 7 days, but they released it faster. So
30. Wait, how long? How quick was that? Oh, wait, you're muted now. What happened here? Oh,
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Originally, we had to wait 30 days for their first response, to which they denied our claim. And then when I appealed the claim, within 5 hours, they released it. So good news. I hope that they move as quickly with the strikes that we're probably going to get at the top of this show for the scurvy.
What? Come on, it's just the scurvy song for National Scurvy Awareness Day, Jerry.
Dude, I've got no problem with it. I wish that we didn't have to deal with the nonsense of algorithms not understanding what fair use is and just arbitrarily striking everybody, and all the time you got to waste and wait until they release the claim.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This is a message just for the algorithm out there. Hey, buddy, how's it going? We're a news commentary show. We often use sources that are fair use based on the things we're talking about. So if you could do us a solid and stop dinging us for that, that would be really cool. Thanks.
You're not losing any money, any inherent value from us briefly mentioning or referencing your videos.
Yeah. So speaking of, let's get back into this one.
And while I-55 opened early this morning, Illinois State Police need help identifying 2 of the people killed in yesterday's wreck. The extent of the damage so bad that their cars and bodies are unidentifiable. At least 6 people were killed and more than 30 injured in a series of crashes after dust blanketed the highway. Illinois State Police said more than 70 trucks and cars were involved in the accidents, which took place over several miles. About 40 people were taken to local hospitals. Their ages range from 2 to 80. As for the deceased, ISP can't determine their gender. The only information they have is that one person was in a blue Chrysler 300, the other in a Hyundai. The make and model of the car is unknown because of how severe the damage was. Now, some in the local farming community say Monday's dust storm was avoidable.
That's just nuts, because my first thought was, well, why don't you just check the plates? You got to find the plates in that wreckage. I mean, that looks like a plane crash. That doesn't look like a car pileup. That literally looks like a jet went down.
Yeah, and if there was an explosion or something in any of the vehicles during those collisions, who knows what could have melted the plates or any other identifying features. Like they said, one of the cars, they didn't even know what color it was. I'm like, wow. And they can't even identify the 2 people out of the 6 who died.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Based on the farming techniques used. I asked Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly if charges are possible.
We're looking at the surrounding area to see what information
we get a charge. The wind?
May link, where the dust was coming from. There's any number of things that could have led to this. And there's many different ways of tilling soil. There's no-till. There's lots of different types of agricultural activity.
Well, that's an interesting angle.
It sounds like somebody's wanting to blame farmers for however they're dealing with their fields for causing a situation where dust is getting swept up.
You can't control the wind. I mean, if you're how the hell are you supposed to know when the wind's going to pick up? However, that's just ridiculous. Yeah, that's. The lawyers are lining up.
I imagine there's some kind of precautions that farmers can do to wet down their soil or do something to prevent them from turning into a dust bowl, but it really does sound like a stretch.
I've never heard of anything like this happening in my modern memory in my 57 years. So this is definitely like a unique anomaly. I mean, if there are preventative measures, Ed, clearly, it doesn't matter when the wind picks up the way the wind picks up. And this can't be the first time the wind is picked up in that part of the state.
No, it sounds like this has happened before, but not in a long time. And it's not really ever been on my radar, because probably the last time it happened, I was probably a kid, to where it was something anywhere newsworthy. But doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't happen a lot.
Things may be related to a period of dryness. We're going to try to connect as many dots as we can and see if there's anything we can learn from that, but we're not jumping to any conclusions.
And again, it is very early in this investigation. Director Kelly says the focus right now remains on identifying those 2 people who were killed in Monday's crash. Illinois State Police have set up a hotline. If you have any information about them, if you know if your loved ones or friends were driving in this area, that number is on our screen right now. It's 618-346-3653. Reporting in Montgomery County, Charlie DeMar, CBS 2 News.
Tragic story.
Yeah.
And how can you prevent something like that in the future? I don't even know.
Well, again, you have to, for one, you have to see that kind of weather coming. And how do you know? How are you going to know? And also, there's only so much a farmer could do to make sure that, their soil doesn't contribute to a gigantic sand or dust storm. So. All right, so we'll close that tab and we will move on to, well, actually, I just want to take a look at the IDOT thing and see if there's any updates here. Let's see. Okay. Think before you throw. Help us keep Illinois roads clean and safe.
Excuse me.
They don't want you littering. Okay, so here. There was 5 hours ago. It said no crashes at this time, but southbound and northbound I-55 between mile marker 63 and 82, same stretch as yesterday, are being closed by IDOT. Illinois State Police due to high winds and low visibility. Signs will be posted and detours in place. That was 5 hours ago. And as of 5:54, they said that I-55 was reopened. That's the last time they posted. So.
Kathy, I see your comments about the repercussions of a copyright strike. You've asked a couple times now. If 3 copyright strikes stick, YouTube will suspend our channel. We have had no copyright strikes stick because every time I've appealed them on our behalf, because they've been used because of fair use. Fair use meaning you're not monetizing or making money off of somebody else's clips if you're talking about them within context of news and commentary, right? But if for some reason one of these copyright claimants decided to be dicks and push it, they could potentially force our hand and force us to have to answer in court. And nobody wants to do that because going to court costs money. And I'm sure it costs a lot of money for these corporations too. So they essentially will stand down. But the whole foundation of this copyright strike system is that the algorithms, which are like programmed listening, what would you call them, Ed? Programmed listening codes, programmed listening. Essentially, like AI is listening to YouTube and
listening for patterns.
So if it hears an audio pattern in our broadcast that is the music that is copyrighted by a company like Warner Brothers, it automatically strikes our channel without any context that whatever we were showing was probably in fair use and not to present it in its entirety so we can make money off of it. So they've got this automatic system in place that basically relieves them of having to have any live eyes scouring YouTube everywhere to see if they're actual legitimate copyright claims. But then we have to appeal that and say, well, no, this was legitimate. It was fair use. But we have to then wait 30 days until YouTube then lifts the embargo on whatever pennies we've made on our broadcast from tips, super chats, or ad revenue from YouTube. And usually the company will lift the strike after I manually appeal them with strike by strike with a copy and paste language like, hey, this is fair use. We're a news and commentary program under copyright law, blah, 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 blah. And usually either within 30 days, if the copyright claimant doesn't respond, they'll lift it, or the copyright claimant might see that and lift it early. But in this case with Warner Brothers, for some reason, they did not accept our dispute. And then I escalated it. And that's when suddenly they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe there was some live eyes on it to realize, yeah, this really was fair use, so we shouldn't be harassing this channel. But to your question, if 3 copyright strikes stick, we're gone. And this actually happened to KRTD Media, Ed. I was on the phone the other night with Shane. They got a copyright strike on the Willie Bragg show. They don't even, no, it wasn't even a copyright strike. It violated YouTube's policies, but YouTube never even explained to them what policies his show violated.
One of those.
Yeah. So now they're one more strike away from losing their YouTube channel, and YouTube doesn't even explain to them what they violated. So it's a 3-strike rule on YouTube, Kathy.
So we're pretty careful. Jerry's really good at appealing those things, but on the odd chance we get disappeared from the tubes, find us at chicagocornertv.com. We are still streaming on Rockfin. I think we got 1 or 2 people watching on there. Click on Rockfin. Still be watching us.
I'm going to look into Rumble, Ed, because the other problem, Kathy, is you're all used to finding us on YouTube, and that's great. But YouTube is like the McDonald's of the internet's video streaming. And people don't want to get away from YouTube to go check out Rockfin or Rumble or any of these other platforms that aren't so draconian against the content creators that we got to keep jumping through hoops for what meager pennies we're getting from the ad revenue. Oh, by the way, Ed, apparently Shane told me this, and I don't know, I have to research it, but apparently he's saying that YouTube is going to keep 70% of people's super chats.
What?
Which I can't believe.
That doesn't sound real.
That's what he said. I got to look into it.
That sounds like an April Fool's joke. Maybe he just read that article on the wrong day.
I hope. But we do need to maybe start weaning our viewers to following us on Rockfin and other platforms, because this one, although everybody's used to it, it's just too oppressive.
Yeah. And of course, the other option is if we don't have to worry about the income on this platform, when we have wonderful people supporting us,
we do,
like you, at patreon.com/Chicago Corner. So
thank you,
very
Kathy.
much. Thank you, Kathy and Dominic, and my brain just cannot remember.
Shane Coughlin, Dr. Ehrman, and Lou Kutramanis.
Yes, I need to get an overlay of this thing so I can just bring the quick screen thing up here, like this one here.
I'll get that to you, Ed. I did a bit of a organizational shuffle a week ago with organizing stuff here, and it was a good start, but it wasn't everything. So yeah, I know you've asked for a couple other screens. I've just got to make some time to create them and put them up here.
Yeah, so I can do a quick up on the screen and then down again, because I got Swiss cheese for brains, and that Swiss cheese is brought to you by P.L. Sullivan's International Chicken Wing and Currency Exchange. Behind that one alley, you know the one. We're moving on to another story here. This one is sort of kind of breaking, but I'm not going to play that clip anymore because it keeps breaking my stream over here.
I would have assumed it was mozzarella cheese in your brains, Ed, not Swiss.
Oh, well, but the mozzarella doesn't have the holes. Oh, you just seeing that now? Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, there's a big delay here.
Okay. Yeah, I played that like about a minute ago.
Yeah. Well, I saw my mute button was on, so I wasn't quite clear.
Oh. I'm going to have to watch this show after the fact and see how StreamYard stitched everything together for us tonight. Anyway, let's get into this story. This comes from Jason Meisner of the Chicago Tribune, and he's one of the people who wrote an article we're going to talk about in a second. It says, just in, the FBI searched Chicago Aldermort Jim Gardner's texts, looking for evidence of a purported $5,000 cash bribe passed from a developer during a rendezvous. I love that word, rendezvous, in a Mercedes in 2019, records show. Gardner has not been charged.
I can't wait. I can't wait till they charge this rat fuck. I cannot wait. They're close, Ed. They're close. You can tell.
It makes you wonder, though. I mean, this happened in 2019. How long were they sitting on this information over at the Chicago Tribune? Did you guys know this before the election? Could this information have possibly tipped the scales back toward one of his challengers? We may not know.
He did have a progressive challenger, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a lot of challengers.
And we know how anti-progressive the Tribune is, don't we? Have you also noticed the Tribune editorial board, for all of their endorsements of Paul Vallis, they have not apologized for the fact that he's probably fiscally, he's like his fiscal mismanagement of his own campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Would reflects on how badly he would have managed the financial affairs of the city. But what did the Tribune tell us?
Yeah,
what
if anybody at the Tribune posts an article like "our bad," we totally missed that one. That would be something worth covering on a future episode of Chicago Corner. But here he is. I love this photo. It looks like he's just looking to see how he can get away with something.
Yeah, he looks like Nosferatu.
He is Aldermort.
Yep.
Federal investigators sought and were granted access to Northwest Side Aldermort Jim Gardner's text messages a little over a year after he took office as part of an investigation into whether he accepted a $5,000 payment from a developer in exchange for stalling a housing development in the 45th Ward, according to a search warrant application unsealed this week. You're going to love this story.
Oh, I already love it.
Oh, yeah. The partially redacted FBI search warrant application was made public Monday, as there is no indication Gardner will be charged in connection with the alleged conduct. Really? A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment Monday on the status of the investigation. As a general policy, the office does not confirm when an investigation ends without charges. Okay, so maybe it's not over.
It's not over? It's over.
Oh, no. According to the July 24th, 2020 affidavit, a cooperating witness saw Gardner accept an envelope from a person while the two sat in the person's black Mercedes-Benz in May 2019.
This is so good, fellas.
According to the unsealed records, Gardner then passed the envelope on to the owners of the West Lawrence Avenue building in which his ward office was located as a, quote, down payment on new windows the alderman wanted installed. One of the owners counted out $5,000 in cash in the envelope, the search warrant application states. When the owner insisted on making a record of the $5,000 payment, Gardner said, quote, "You don't need to do that.
Well, we'll do it. We'll do it back in the alley. You know the place.
You know the one.
You know the one."
Gardner then kicked the cooperating witness under the table when that person agreed it was important to log the money, according to the affidavit. You dick! After Gardner allegedly received the $5,000 from the developer, the cooperating witness was told federal The cooperating witness told federal investigators it became clear Gardner planned to delay a project in the ward to inflict unnecessary costs on that project's builder as a favor to the developer who provided the cash, according to the court records. The developer said, let me get this last paragraph in. The developer said he had spent $20,000 preparing his own property to be the site of a senior living development, only for the person building that project to locate it elsewhere. Having wasted the money, the developer, quote, wanted to get back at that person, the witness said, according to the affidavit.
That's all Gardner's about, is revenge. This is why too many of our older incumbent aldermen keep running for re-election, because they just don't want to let go of this power that they have.
But this wasn't even his revenge. It was somebody else's revenge.
But they paid him.
He got paid. He got paid to help them with it.
That's right. Because he's a piece of shit.
Wow. In September 2019, Block Club Chicago reported that Gardner held a community meeting at the Copernicus Center in Jefferson Park to get feedback on The Point, a proposed Aldi grocery store and senior housing development on a vacant lot at Six Corners. Shortly thereafter, Gardner announced he would oppose the project until changes were made to the plan. Nearly a year later, the city council approved the development, with Gardner endorsing an amended plan. The approved plan, which is under construction, is a luxury residential development with a Target store as the anchor retailer. Tribune first reported in 2021 that federal investigators were looking into allegations Gardner retaliated against political opponents and engaged in political corruption. You don't say!
We've been reporting on that all year long, every time Block Club Chicago shines a light on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really should have hit this reaction clip right there. Where did I leave off?
What was the clip? I didn't see it on this end.
Oh, it's the I Knew It clip with Jeannie from Ferris Bueller.
Thanks, StreamYard.
So,
or it could be your upstream. I don't know. I didn't check my upstream, but go ahead. Oh.
Well, my upstream looked good right before I went on, but Comcast has been jacking with me lately, so I wouldn't put it past them to be messing with me now. How's our stream out there, everybody? Am I coming in sounding like a weird robot, or is my stream good? We'll wait 30 seconds. Miguel H says we're good.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Miguel.
It's probably my end then.
All right. Gardner won a second term last month, defeating Megan Mathias in a runoff election. He declined to comment Monday. No, really? Like he's going to freaking say, yeah, I did it. What are you going to do about it?
Just like, what are you going to do about it? Just like that.
Even in the rough and tumble political world of the Chicago City Council, Gardner courted an exceptional amount of controversy in his first term. In 2021, he took the highly unusual step of apologizing on the council floor after leaked texts showed him using profane and offensive language to describe a gay colleague, a female city staffer, and a female political consultant. And this January, a sworn deposition was made public in a federal lawsuit against Gardner. This guy, he's a piece of work, right?
Yeah.
That detailed how a former aide last autumn said the alderman obsessed over Facebook criticism and pledged to rid the ward of his detractors, who he referred to as, quote, rats.
I remember that. That was projection.
Yeah. So that's the end of that article. But just when you thought there was too much Aldermania, we transition over to the other source of our Aldermania, the wonderful person with the wheelbarrow, whose thing I can't get to fast enough. Ray Lopez. Raylo is going a little bit crazy with the dog whistles on the internet.
I saw that too.
And here he is.
Rosanna Rodriguez responded to?
I think a lot of people responded to these things, but here we got. First, let's start with the one that he's retweeting himself. It says, "What do all of these have in common?" And he says, "Measles, mumps, chickenpox, bed bugs, lice, and rash."
I saw that one.
And then he says, "Our Chicago police officers have enough crap to deal with on the street without having to worry about catching or bringing home any one of these contagions." Really?
Wow.
You hypocrite.
Let me also say, you want to talk about vermin? Alderman Ray Lopez is the poster boy for vermin, with Gardner right alongside him. Not even a close second. They're both at the top of the food chain as far as vermin go. That he's so grossly suggesting.
He's been doing this weird virtue signaling thing where he's basically doing dog whistles for pro-cop, anti-immigrant people and making it sound like he actually cares about any of that stuff. Then he does this garbage.
I'm going to go look up. I mean, you think that Lopez would be at the forefront of advocating for immigrant rights, given the fact that his family came from another country himself.
Yeah, you would think.
I don't imagine that Ray Lopez is indigenous to the region.
Yeah, so there were some people responding to him. This is Keith Judge from Optimist Press. He says, "You're dehumanizing refugees by regarding them as animals to be cast into the elements, and you're doing so at the FOP's behest, Fraternal Order of Police," he's talking about.
Yep.
A real human would view this as a public health crisis that demands imagination, courage, and solutions, all of which you lack.
I love that meme there too.
Yeah, this meme graphic. This is one of the meme graphics that floated around when Vallis was still in the running.
We would like to buy your city. By the way, I want to share a text regarding Vallis and everything we're talking about right here when we were talking about the Tribune a little while ago. So this is his campaign workers, number one, still haven't been paid. Number two, this was the man continuously paraded as a budget wizard, a man who knew finances and how to operate them. The media kept up this carefully concocted narrative that Paul Vallis should be trusted with the city's finances. The so-called financial wizard. That's what the media paraded him to be, even though he'd never had direct control of finances of any organization, let alone his own. Not the first time the news media lied in favor of their favorite candidate. And here we go. And it's continued, even though he lost. We're seeing this with the ugly shit that Lopez is parading around.
Yeah, and the People's Fabric had posted a couple tweets about it too. They were talking about the hypocrisy, where they basically talking about how the cops who were anti-vax at the time that he's now concerned about their health and safety, when apparently we have differing views and different information now than we had then regarding that stuff. And
we did, but erring on the side of caution was not a bad thing.
Yeah.
As we frequently stated, despite the fact we were all confused at all the information coming out.
Yeah, we know that there are situations like micron size where, if you're putting a screen door on a submarine, that's not going to help very much. But I'm going to leave it at that. People's Fabric says, "Think most of us can agree housing asylum seekers with the police is a terrible solution, but of all of the reasons it's a bad idea, please spare us with the, quote, do it for the health of the police officers fear-mongering angle."
Yeah. Kathy says about Vallis, he is a wizard. He makes funds disappear.
Yeah, and for Kathy, we're going to show the oatmeal one more time.
There you go.
This is how he makes oatmeal. I mean, look, I know Jerry says that doesn't look like oatmeal.
I prefer to imagine it's not oatmeal and something else, because it seems that on his social media, that's what he's wallowing in, not oatmeal.
Yeah. It's like every time I think about that, I'm like, damn. I'm like, now I want some oatmeal, but I want to make it correctly. So, okay. Did I have more about him? Well, actually, we are kind of we're headed in this direction anyway. So let's roll over to the next story here, which is basically an extension of Raylo's angst, which is this thing. This was from yesterday. It says Texas will start busing migrants to Chicago again Monday, yesterday, creating, quote, humanitarian crisis, Lightfoot says.
I thought he just died. Oh,
no, not Gordon Lightfoot, Lori Lightfoot. See, we should have had a meeting before so we could do the Abbott and Costello thing with the Lightfoot today.
Had a meeting. We barely got on the air on time with both of us scrambling to get home.
We were a minute late, but it's fine. Yeah. Mayor Lori Lightfoot has said the city already doesn't have enough space for the migrants who are here, and the answer to problems at the border isn't busing people to Chicago. Okay. Mayor Lori Lightfoot said Texas Governor Greg Abbott is creating a, quote, humanitarian crisis as his state prepares to resume busing migrants to Chicago when the city already doesn't have room for them. And before we get into the article, I'd like to just call bullshit on that. We have the room. You just don't want to do those solutions that we know are going to work because people don't want to just give people housing or shelter. You got to make it complicated. You got to virtue signal about what you want to do and then not follow through on it. And you don't care anymore because you're out of here in 13 days. So say all you want, Mayor, but if you were going to do something, you'd have done it by now. Lightfoot sent a letter to Sunday to Abbott saying Chicago officials learned he will resume busing migrants Monday and calling it inhumane and dangerous action as the city has already reached a critical tipping point in its ability to help people. Now, before I go any further, I would just like to say that Greg Abbott is a piece of shit.
Wait, can you repeat that? What did you say?
I said Greg Abbott is a piece of shit.
And my button is not working.
The button's not working.
Yeah, sorry. So my browser's really slow on the pickup here. Oh, here we go.
I beg your pardon. What did you say?
See, now it's working. Yeah, that's weird. It's like someone is stream jacking your StreamYard over there.
Yeah, and I was trying to load my speed. I think I got a slow connection, even though my video's not being affected. Okay, I didn't restart my computer before the show, so
we'll just have to fix it in post, Jerry.
Yes, we will.
Okay,
we'll do it live.
So great. Yeah, seriously. It doesn't take much to have a little bit of humanity for another fellow human, and for you to decide that instead of trying to appeal to maybe some federal government support, whether it's need for funding or whatever, to help people get housing and shelter when they're migrating from whatever situation they were in. I mean, it doesn't take much to make those efforts, and for him to, and especially since he's made the extra effort to put them on buses, clearly he's just not using his resources properly while being a total piece of shit.
He's grandstanding to dog whistle.
I beg your pardon. What did you say?
Was that the one? Maybe that was the first one you hit that just came through.
No, it was the second one after you said it again.
Okay. That's fine. I hope you're all enjoying the show out there tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because we're giving you some seriously great quality here at Chicago Corner. Whenever possible, we provide the content that you crave.
So I looked up Ray Lopez's background.
What did you say?
I thought we'd see what his family roots were, but they don't talk about him. He was born in Chicago. Graduate of St. Lawrence Catholic High School, Lopez was first introduced to politics at the age of 18 when he became a precinct captain under the William Lipinski organization of the 23rd Ward. Prior to his political career, Lopez worked as a sky cap for Southwest Airlines at Midway International Airport.
Sky cap.
He was a sky cap for 12 years. That's Ray Lopez's experience and preparation.
Okay.
Now here's okay. So personal life. Lopez is openly gay. He refers to his dogs as his children. He's married to Hugo Lopez. Great. He's gay. Couldn't care less. But you'd think that somebody who's a member of a demographic that's routinely ostracized, prejudiced against, and has had to fight for its rights, he wouldn't be so adamant about coming down on the rights of other marginalized demographics.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird flex.
It's a weird. He's very authoritarian.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah, because usually people who are from marginalized demographics aren't authoritarian because they've walked in other people's shoes. They have a shared experience of being discriminated against. But apparently not this guy.
I think Ian's got it though.
What did Ian say?
He's a class trader.
Yeah, he's a class trader. Yep.
He's basically there to just enrich himself.
Yeah.
And, regardless of what hurdles he had to deal with coming up and finally becoming an alderman, he's just pulling the ladder up behind him.
Yep. I think Lightfoot was that way too, given how she leaned on her identity politics. And then, that's all she did was she just leaned on it to make people think that she was empathetic and that she understood other people's problems when she didn't give a shit about anybody.
Just quickly looking in the live chat. Oh, thanks for watching tonight, Scroogle. It was good to see you in the live chat. Hope to see you guys again. Let's see what else we got here in this article. What's worth reading in here? Influx of migrants this fall led to the city's shelters being overwhelmed, with the city turning closed schools and other facilities into temporary housing, but the crisis appeared to subside somewhat this spring until in recent weeks migrants started being flown in. But the city doesn't let me get some sugar back into my brain. But the city still doesn't have space for all of the peoples being sent here. Lightfoot said last week that's left some migrants staying at police stations. You know what? She's known for days that they're staying at police stations. Why wasn't someone from the mayor's office doing active response, looking to find a place for them to stay?
It's not her problem anymore. That's why she doesn't give a shit.
But she's acted like that for a couple years now.
Yeah, I know. But even she wasn't going to do anything then. Why is she going to do anything now?
Okay, it's really sad.
She's all performative.
Even all the more sad that of the story we're going to be talking about with her final interview.
She gave one?
Yeah. So let's see if there's anything more in here, and I think we might actually move on to that.
I was being sarcastic. She did give an exit interview to somebody.
She talked to WBBM.
Okay.
So we got information on that. Although I think you might want to cover that in more depth on Friday if you really want to, because it was like a 28-minute interview, and I know we're not going to cover that tonight.
So, no, we're not. It's 9:02, so
yeah. But let's see. Lightfoot said Abbott is attempting to, quote, cause chaos and score political points by busing people to Democrat. I'm just doing the voice. It's just a voice impression, nothing more. Busing people to Democrat-led cities in protest of federal immigration policies. People also need to realize that he's trafficking people.
Yeah,
from one state to another.
It's against the law across state lines. There's a law, and it's called trafficking. You can't do that with people against their will, whether they are citizens or not citizens. You know, there are criminals who get away with trafficking foreign women across state lines for prostitution. It doesn't matter what they're being trafficked for. If it's against their will, you are trafficking people. And it's against the law. In his case, it's to serve his political agenda, to dog whistle to people that he's tough on illegal immigration.
And
there's a guy that
also
narrow their targets on.
Well, and the reality is we basically have two sides of the duopoly coin. There's one side that virtue signals and does crap for you, and then there's the other side that never gave a crap about you and will do every vindictive thing possible and take every advantage to make the other side of the duopoly coin look bad, when in fact, they are generally working together to enrich themselves and screw everyone else. Now, I don't think that Lightfoot is working with what's his name? See again, no sugar in the brain. Greg Abbott. But it's stuff like this that turns people off to politics and politicians and makes people not show up for elections and makes people show up instead in large gatherings out in the street with torches, pitchforks, and possibly guillotines.
Or do you say guillotines?
Or guillotines.
You say guillotines. I say guillotines.
You know what? Let's just flip over to the Friday tab because we got to use up all the good videos that are in here.
You haven't.
Where is that thing? I don't have it here.
Put them on your tab, Ed.
Take your torches and go!
I like Ian's expression, class train. We're going to have to remember that.
I think that's the first time I played the entire clip. Yeah, there's definitely a slowdown on your end, Jerry. But that's okay. Because it gives me time to queue up. Okay, I'll queue up the final video for this.
I just discovered why I wasn't seeing video because I had the dark mode on.
Oh, was that
for some reason?
Down, maybe?
So for some reason, it's not allowing the video to come through.
Ooh, so maybe dark mode has hacked you.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to turn down my light here since I'm so bright. But yeah, it was a browser thing, of course.
So yeah, so this is Lightfoot from when the hell was this? This was from a day ago.
Tanya and Terrell, a march in support of immigration is set to begin here shortly in Union Park. Organizers tell me as more migrants are expected to arrive here in Chicago from the Texas border, they're calling on President Biden and our local senators for more resources to help.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot appearing on CNN this morning, one
CNN.
day after she sent this letter to Texas
no
Governor
local
Greg Abbott,
stations.
urging him not to send
Ed?
any more migrants.
Pause it.
Quote,
CNN, the national platform by which she could try to garner sympathy and elevate herself now that we've kicked her out on her useless ass.
Yeah, so this was yesterday, but then this isn't even the interview I'm talking about, though.
Okay, but here's an example of she's doing this to serve her own. She could do this in Chicago she could talk to local media. She's not. She's going national because she's looking at how is national exposure going to help her once she leaves, not actually deal with the problem she's talking about with CNN.
I am yet again appealing to your better nature and asking that you stop this inhumane and dangerous action.
We are completely tapped out. We have no more space, no more
Wow,
resources.
she's got time to go on
Frankly, we're already
CNN. They're in
a surge.
California.
We've been seeing over the last week 200 plus people coming to Chicago.
Look at how high her
every
chair
single
is.
day.
Mayor Lightfoot says the city is at capacity and struggling to provide shelter for those who are already here. Migrants, some pregnant and nursing sick children, are huddled on the floors of police station lobbies right now.
If we don't put the humanity of these migrants front and center, I understand, and I'm solely compassionate to the fact that the borders are themselves really overrun, but you don't solve that problem by simply sticking people on buses to a city that they didn't ask to come to for an uncertain future, and now where we are literally full.
City officials say,
see, the rhetoric is fine. She's often been good with the rhetoric when she's not being personally attacked in an interview or like at a press conference, right? It's just words, though. That's the problem. The problem is words, Jerry.
Yeah.
Those dead eyes. Reminds me of Jaws.
Yeah, empty eyes roll over like like a doll's eyes. I got to get that quote right.
Yeah, we gotta practice that one day.
I just got to go get the video drop in.
There's another. I'm tired of listening to Lightfoot, so I'm going to switch over to Gil Villegas in a second here. Hold on a second.
Migrants in Chicago. We've been talking about this all week and for months now. City leaders are worried about keeping up with the number of asylum seekers coming here, especially after the latest group that arrived from Texas just yesterday. So joining us now to dig into this a little bit, 36th Ward Alderman Gilbert Villegas, who's working with organizations on the ground in Texas. Alderman, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Good morning, Audrina.
So first, who are you working with down in Texas, and what are they saying about the situation at the border?
Well, that's part of the problem, is that there really aren't enough communication going back and forth between the actual government, Texas government, as well as some of the not-for-profits. So what we're hearing is a lot of underground communications from some of the not-for-profits that are just giving the city of Chicago a heads up on what's actually coming up. So there's not really enough coordinated efforts between Texas government and Illinois government, so that way we can make sure that there's a plan in place. The next thing you know is that they're either putting asylum seekers on buses or on planes, and then people are just landing in Chicago, and then we're trying to scramble to find resources. So if there was a more coordinated effort from government, then we can try to figure out a plan here.
Speaking of resources, we learned that the city is spending $20 to $25 million a month to handle the situation. I was surprised to hear that number. How much is that straining city funds? I mean, a big question, where's the money coming from, too?
Well, we had put a request into state government for $50 million. We were only given $20 million, and then they added an additional 10. Listen, Illinois and Chicago were both sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. And so we need the state of Illinois to step up a little bit more, because the reality is that as a welcoming state, there's 102 counties in Illinois. There's other municipalities within the state, that can step up and help. And so Chicago shouldn't be the only city that is getting the brunt of these asylum seekers. Listen, we welcome them.
I'm just going to pause this here to say, the state should be stepping up for sure. But if the Democratic Party wants to be a party that supports the sanctuary cities, like happens in a lot of the Democratic cities, then they should be footing the bill for a lot of this too. And why aren't they? Bunch of hypocrites.
Dick on Rockfin says the city is stealing $20 million a month in the name of asylum seekers.
It's not that simple.
Isn't it? $20 million a month, and they're still having a hard time.
Oh, is that the point he's making? Is
Yeah.
that they're grabbing all this money, but where is that money going?
Yeah, That's what yeah.
Yeah, is it just sitting in a fund somewhere waiting for them to decide that maybe they're going to help them?
Yeah. Oh, Kathy's got a, well, yeah, Kathy, we've talked about this before, all the empty buildings around the city. I know a lot of empty luxury units and unused CHA units. Yep. Yep.
But we need the resources, and then until then, we need the state to step up. And so, you know, we're trying to find money from the state as well as from our general operating fund, and then we're also pushing FEMA to release some of the funding that's available. There's $500 million that FEMA's sitting on. That the states that are in the cities that are being impacted, the money's not coming from the feds, and so we need them to.
What the fuck? Sorry for the F word, but come on. Why is every level of government having such a hard problem making money happen to support people?
Because they don't care. It's just that simple. It's all performative. They have to pretend that they do. They have to say that they are. They have to act like they're not getting the funds, which they are. And go on CNN to like look for what's beyond Chicago now, as far as Lightfoot goes. We were talking about earlier.
Look, I'm sorry for swearing, Miguel H., but you know,
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs.
Don't apologize for
I
swearing.
want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
I love StreamYard.
I'm not seeing video still, so I've definitely got a signal issue on my end. But what did you just play?
I just played the Mad as Hell video.
Oh, okay.
I was waiting for it to unmute your microphone before I continued. Oh yeah, something hinky going on today. Yeah. Something really hinky.
I didn't restart my computer. I think that's what's hinky. Even though I'm only at 45% memory right now, it shouldn't be
that has no meaning.
giving me these problems.
I don't want you guys using words when I got no meaning.
Just hit the hinky clip again in case you didn't see that.
That I saw.
Open up so that way we can put forward the resources and make sure that the asylum seekers are here with dignity.
And I know that's the latest plea from Mayor Lori Lightfoot to ask the federal government to help. How would that money be used, and how is the money already being used that we have here from the state?
Blah, 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 blah. They used the money to give them food and shelter, maybe some clothing, maybe some medical stuff. This is not hard.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You will stop speaking. You will stop speaking. You're full of crap, and that's the nicest thing that I can say.
What an asshole.
Okay, what's next on the roller coaster of doom here on Tuesday night's Taco Tuesday Chicago Corner? We are getting to, okay, that's the end of the migrant block.
Edward Heller's roller coaster of doom.
Yes, and we are transitioning now to, yes. That is one thing I can rant about for a minute here. I mentioned it in the show notes. You guys can check out the show notes in the description to see all the stuff that we covered today, and even some of the articles that I refer to that we may not have actually covered during this show, but thought you might be interested in reading about. There's this one I'm going to mention, and I just wanted to say that Chicago could have better handled this migrant support crisis and other issues if it had a city manager, which they do not.
And the city manager serving much like the president's chief of staff on a federal level, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Sense.
So here's an article from the Gazette Chicago from March from William S. Bike. Mayors ignoring city manager law for 40 years shows need for charter, says RE Chicago. I don't know.
So it's a law. They ignore it.
Yeah.
Why do you think, Ed?
Because they're fucking
control freaks.
Yeah.
Right. They don't want to have anybody else to delegate to while they can't handle minding the store all on their own.
So I'm just going to go to the part here. Chicago has not had a city manager since Jane Byrne was mayor 40 years ago. Yet another reason Chicago needs a charter. They're calling for a charter in this article, which is kind of like a constitution for the city of Chicago, which we don't really have, which essentially would serve as a constitution for the city, said Re-Chicago. Oh, Re-Chicago must be the name of the group. Okay. Re-Chicago's founder, Joe Ferguson, a former Chicago inspector general. A strategic initiative to assess and address flaws in the city's governance structure. Re-Chicago asserts Chicago's current system is best described as dysfunctional. Yeah.
A fucking shit show.
Yeah. Correct, Jerry.
At best described. We're past best. Let's be based and tell it for how it is.
Yeah. The city manager is in section 2, chapter 4 of the municipal code, Ferguson explained. The mayor is mandated, required to submit to the city council a nominee. The duties and responsibilities of that person include having all the departments and agencies of the city report to that person.
Why wouldn't you want somebody helping you with that? I mean, okay, so just on a little bit of a side note, Ed, as a director, okay, it's all project management, okay? Whether you're a director, project manager, why wouldn't you, as the mayor of the city? There's just too much. You want to have people to delegate to that you trust, that you know their job, that report to you, so you can focus on the stuff you're supposed to focus on. For example, what do you think a director is supposed to do on a film set? Everything? Of course not. They're supposed to specifically speak with the talent, the actors, the actresses, to talk about the character and performance, because they know the director of photography knows how to set up the shot after they've told them. They know the director of photography then delegates to the lighting crew how to set up the lighting. Everybody is delegated a responsibility, so the person in charge, the director, the mayor, whatever, can focus on their specific responsibilities. That is like a blessing to have, because otherwise your head would explode. So the fact that this has been mandated in municipal code and nobody's enacted it since Byrne. Richie Daley.
Now
I guess Harold Washington wouldn't have also then.
Now here's the next part, which you've kind of alluded to, which would dilute the mayor's power. So politicians just ignore laws in the municipal code that they don't want to enforce, Ferguson explained.
But it's not. But the thing is, a mayor that's smart would recognize this doesn't dilute my power. This actually gives me more power, because ultimately that person that they're delegating to, the city manager, is still answerable to the mayor. So this is more about their petty ego and thin skin at being perceived as not being in charge of everything, because a good leader is only as good as the people that they delegate to. And clearly the mayors don't want to delegate to anybody.
Yeah. So he says the public can't enforce provisions of the municipal code. He added that all needs to be reset at a level of constitution that only the people can change by referendum to provide more balancing of power, checks on government transparency, and accountability mechanisms. That's why we can't get mayors to actually follow through with it unless they really want to have one. But let's see if he explains here. There was another thing I read in here. He talked about. Okay, yeah. He noted that if elected, working collaboratively with the city and state officials, I would leverage the power of the office of the mayor. Okay, wait.
I wish Ferguson had run for mayor.
The lack of a city manager being appointed despite this position being authorized decades ago is one of many provisions of the municipal code that have long gone unused and unenforced, and is yet another prompt for a municipal charter commission. That was from Vallis. So Vallis was even on board with this. I mean, as for a guy, he was like a stickler for that type of stuff. But I mean,
well, he would have needed to be, because he was an empty suit, basically doing the bidding of everybody who donated to his campaign that expected something back. Yeah. Do you think Vallis wanted to run the city, Ed?
No, and so that to that point, that would be another reason why he would have been for this, is because he would have appointed a city manager, because it's damn sure didn't want to manage anything, including finances, which we saw during that shit show of a finance campaign
scandal
with all that, all those people who didn't get paid.
Financial wizard.
Yeah,
he makes money disappear. I like that Kathy suggested that. It's great.
I thought there was a part in here that would talk about the city manager, but I can't find it in here. But it basically
interesting though. Scroll back. It said Brandon Johnson could not be reached for comment on this.
Yeah, I know it's a shot in the dark for us to get him to come on the show, but if he does, I think we have a handful of questions we want to ask him.
Well,
one of them would be, is he going to have a city manager?
Well, look, we're nobody. Joe Ferguson is somebody, and he's associated with Reach Chicago. And that mayoral candidate Brandon Johnson did not respond to numerous attempts to contact him for this article is troubling.
Yeah, I'm wondering what that's about. That's not great, but maybe it's because Joe Ferguson was associated with Vallis's campaign at the times that they were trying to contact him, because this is from March.
Okay.
This article. So, I mean, that could be what it is.
Did you notice I shared with you on Slack that photo op that Johnson did with Alderman Voldemort?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, the mayor's going to pose with a whole bunch of older people, and that's
is he though? Can't he pick and choose? Like,
I suppose he could
make myself unavailable for standing with this guy who's under investigation right now. I mean, look, politics aside, the guy threatens and intimidates the residents in his ward.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to send a clear message to anybody on city council if I was mayor. No, you don't get a photo op with me. Clean up your act.
It could have been a thing where maybe Brandon Johnson was just going to fire a department or something, and then Gardner got wind of it and decided to just kind of photo bomb his photo shoot.
Yeah, but you know what, Ed? If I'm the mayor elect, and I have that,
no, man, get out of my shot.
Right, and Gardner shows up, I'm going to be like, "There's the fucking door." I'm not interested in you posing in a picture with me. And you know what? If you don't like it and you think it makes me look petty as the mayor elect, I'm fine with that, because you're not. The guy behaves like a criminal. Gardner.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't want to alienate the fire department.
I don't. Do you think he would have alienated the fire department?
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
I know, but you know what? You're giving too much. But look, I don't know what the story was behind it. All I'm saying is I was disappointed that Brandon Johnson posed for a picture, was smiling broadly in a picture with Jim Gardner, when I just didn't want to see that. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want to see that, given how Gardner is clearly an opponent to anything Brandon Johnson has claimed he wants to do. But as I've said, time will tell. We're crossing our fingers for good outcomes here, but that just shocked me.
Speaking of outcomes.
No, Kathy, he doesn't get a pass. I'm sorry. No.
So you remember how Lightfoot wasn't giving any interviews to anybody?
Yeah.
Well, I guess she did one final one with WBBM. So the headline says Lightfoot offers no apologies for her sometimes combative style, especially not after Daily, Emmanuel.
You know what's interesting about that, Ed, is it wasn't acceptable from Daly or Emmanuel either.
No.
I think we can all agree. So basically, instead of like shifting the direction of like being more mayoral and more accessible and more relatable, she just continued on in the same shitty behavior that the previous two mayors engaged in.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read this, and there's a short audio clip I will play, but this article also has the whole interview further on, which I'm not going to play tonight because, like I said, it's 28 minutes.
What an awful excuse that she offers here.
Yeah, so Mayor Lori Lightfoot says she won't apologize for her sometimes combative style and insists the news media made it such a big issue. Lightfoot says it's laughable that her abrasiveness became such a big campaign issue after the 10 years of Richard M. Daley and Rob. Yeah, see, she's shifting the goalposts here.
No, sir. You will stop speaking. You will stop speaking. You're full of crap, and that's the nicest thing that I can say.
Yeah. Precisely. So I'm going to get into this thing here, whereas as soon as Jerry's mic come back. Okay. I'm going to play the clip from WBBM here.
Mayor Lightfoot tells WBBM she's not surprised that her personality and how she rubbed some people the wrong way became such an issue during the campaign.
The media made it an issue way before that. The campaign seized upon the narrative that was created by the media. And look, I'm a Black queer woman.
Here we
go again.
Where's that? I got on my booze here so we can play the identity politics Lori Lightfoot drinking game.
Yeah, we really needed a reaction clip for that too. We just never. Yeah, no, Lori. You did this to yourself.
Nothing to do with
this to yourself.
Good comment, Art. Yeah.
I have always known my entire adult life that there is different set of rules and standards by which I'm going to be judged. That is not a surprise.
God. No, it wasn't acceptable under them. It's not acceptable under you.
She's gonna lean in hard on identity when the truth is we didn't care about your identity.
No,
we cared about what you could do for the city, what you did and didn't do, what you said you were going to do and decided to ignore, and all the virtue signaling you've done through your entire tenure as mayor.
In fact, Ed, I would argue she was voted into office because of her identity. Because so many people thought, again, you're a queer woman of color. Clearly you understand what it's like to be discriminated against. So clearly you're going to stand up for those that are marginalized, discriminated against, and the most downtrodden. She didn't do it. That's why I think that was a big factor in why she was voted in, because people who wanted change figured if anybody's going to understand what discriminated and marginalized people deal with, it's going to be her. And she ran with it, man. And now she uses it as an excuse for any criticisms placed against her for her absolutely abysmal, shitty leadership.
Yeah. You see why I chose the shorter clip tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because we would have had a rant fest. I mean, literally, we could do an entire show off of that 28-minute interview.
Yeah.
With is she nice? Is she not nice? Following Rich Daley and Rahm Emanuel is frankly laughable.
But even some of her former allies said she could be tough to deal with. At City Hall, Craig Dellamore, News Radio 1059 WBBM.
So she's doubling down on the way. Get the fuck out, Lightfoot. Get the fuck out. I cringe imagining how she's going to fail upward after this ad.
Yeah, but I just like how Craig Dellimore got the, but even some of her allies said Lightfoot could be tough to deal with at the end of his little radio clip. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's an understatement.
Very much so.
Lightfoot said she's at peace with her single term in office. What matters is that she fought for what she believed in and fought to help people, she said. Yeah, so like I said, 28 minutes and 20 seconds of the full interview. If you guys want to check it out, it's over at WBBM 780's. It's over at WBBM 780's page before the Wicked Witch's feet started curling up over my little closing remark there.
We're really out of sync. I don't know why when I click a button,
yeah,
there's something wrong with like how the commands are going in the StreamYard. So apologies to everybody out there watching. I'm clicking buttons and either it's not registering at the time I'm clicking it or same from Ed's end. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll just have to stream from 2 rooms in the same building.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a little less lag. Anyway, what's next? Oh, yes, the comments. I had the Sun-Times article. I'm not gonna read from it. You guys can read the Sun-Times article on your time. We're running out of it here. It's already 9:35. Chicago Bars on Twitter says, only took seconds of hearing Mayor Lightfoot's exit interview with Craig Dellimore to remember somehow she never, ever got it. Never.
And she never will. She never will. By the way, thanks for the $1 super chat, Kathy.
Yeah, he says, he goes on to say, General Assembly didn't overrun her multiple times on big stuff because the media was unfair to her. She never developed the political chops. And, what else? I got, yeah, we got to hear from Greg Pratt because he was like journalist enemy number 1 or number 2, actually.
After Mike Kelly.
After Mike Kelly, yeah.
Was it Mark Kelly or Mark Kelly?
I forget.
Mike Kelly was the guy at the Park District who turned a blind eye.
William Kelly, wasn't it?
William Kelly, that's right. William Kelly.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Gregory Pratt says, just making sure I got this right. The, quote, I'm tough, no doubt about it, unquote, mayor of Chicago skipped exit interviews with both major newspapers? Okay, then, back to business. I don't know what was with the photo here.
Because she's probably going to go off on vacation somewhere.
Oh, okay. All right, maybe that's what that was. So, yeah. And
Jesus,
then,
you've got 3 pages of show notes. It's not even 2 pages.
Do I have 3? Oh, yeah. It gets
3 pages.
It's 2 1/3 pages.
Okay. 2 1/3
show notes. A lot of them were just linked with multiple links from one story, so it's not quite as much as it seems here. But we are nearing the end. I basically have a couple updates, but the only I think the only major story I have right now is beyond that is this one. Does CTA boss Dorval Carter use public transit? Records show he swiped the pass once in 2021.
Where does he live, though? What's his commute like? I mean, look, yeah, granted, a CTA boss, someone who works at CTA, should ride CTA a little bit more often to understand what riders are going through, but who knows what neighborhood it's coming from? Because I've got a car. I don't want to go stand at a bus stop, then take that to the train, then wait for the train, and then get downtown if I got to get somewhere fast.
If you're going to be the boss of the CTA, maybe you should move to some place close to public transportation. Number 1.
I'm not defending him. I'm just saying, devil's advocate.
And number 2, even if you don't live close to public transportation, if you're running the CTA, you should be traveling it during your job every freaking day.
Every day?
Every day.
Okay. So saith King Ed.
Just saying. The CTA president swiped his work pass 24 times in 2 years.
Okay, that is not enough.
As transit struggled, Alderman Andre Vasquez and an advocacy group want him fired.
Well, maybe he can't find a working elevator, Ed. As Kathy reports on all the time.
Yeah, good point, Kathy. Yeah, but whose fault is that exactly?
And Art brings up a good point. You think the manager of Jules Osco shops for groceries in their own store? No, they go to Maggiano's.
Or a whole paycheck.
Is that what they're calling Whole Foods now?
Oh, we've been calling it that for a while.
I have not heard that before. That's great.
Yes. So embattled CTA President Dorval Carter has repeatedly vowed to fix a transit system Chicagoans have called unsafe, unsanitary, and unreliable as ridership has fallen.
Kathy's got a bone to pick with him.
But Carter hardly used his work card for the system in 2021 and 2022 CTA records show, and the agency wouldn't say exactly how often its leader takes public transit.
Wait a minute. We were in the middle of a pandemic.
It's, come on now.
I'm not defending him. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Just because
Carter swiped into the CTA system 24 times in the past 2 years with his agency-issued card, according to CTA data provided through a Freedom of Information Act request. They had to file a FOIA to get that information.
Well, that's not right. I don't like the way that government officials frequently stonewall information that they should just, okay, my bad. Here you go.
The
FOIA makes it look worse. It looks like you're trying to hide something then.
7 of those 24 swipes were transfers to other trains or bus lines, and another 7 were all done the same day at O'Hare. The data shows Carter used his work card on 12 days in all of 2021 and 2022. 12 days. CTA officials said those figures do not show all the times Carter used the system, but they did not provide any records or figures to back that up. CTA did not answer Block Club's questions about exactly how often Carter takes trains and buses or what his primary mode of transportation is. Now, why wouldn't they be transparent about that?
Ian McCarthy asked if they asked this of Claypool. I'm looking that up right now. Claypool was his predecessor, I think. No, Forrest Claypool is former chief executive officer of Chicago Public Schools. I'm not sure how that relates to the CTA guy.
I don't remember who the last guy was. But again, I got a Swiss cheese brain. Okay. The agency's FOIA office did not send Carter's travel log requested by Block Club until 72 days after its legal deadline.
Yeah, he's trying to hide something.
Some officials and transit advocates are now calling for Carter to resign. I believe we need a new CTA president, said Alderman Andre Vasquez of the 40th. Maybe we should have him on the show to talk about this.
Do you know who should? Well, no, he's too busy downstate. I was going to say Cam Buckner, since he's such
Cam would be public. Cam would be a good guy to talk to also because he was all about public transit. Okay. Andre Vasquez, who has repeatedly called for more reliable CTA service. Quote, if you're in charge of fixing the service and you're not experiencing the lack of service, you're not going to have the same burden and urgency as someone who has to get up every day and take it to their job. The CTA declined Block Club's request to interview Carter. There's strike 2. Or is that strike 3? I don't know.
It's probably strike 6.
Yeah. Instead, in a written statement, spokesperson Brian Steele, Carter couldn't even be bothered to write something. He got a spokesperson write it. Said the log of swipes from Carter's card is, quote, not a full reflection of the leader's use of the transit system. The leader!
By the way, my mom hates when I do that, which is why I always do it, because it's funny to punctuate people just jerking us off with their bullshit responses.
No, that's not what that is. This is me shaking up a bottle of water when I've added one of those powdered drink mixes.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing.
Like a lot of CTA employees, from field personnel to executives, President Carter often does not use his card to gain entry to rail stations or board buses, Steele said. Some of the time, CTA employees do not tap their ID cards on the card readers, as field personnel recognize them and open gates on their behalf or let them on a bus. Or staff enter facilities through work entrances. Okay, but most of the time, shouldn't he be taking that all the public transportation like kind of half undercover just to see how the service is? That would make too much sense, though, right, Jerry?
He got a big raise, man. He got almost a $100,000 almost. So no, he got like almost a $100,000 raise from 262. So a $90,000 raise from 2022.
So anyway, just saying, if you want to support some people who are actually making an effort to provide service to you, a public service to you, patreon.com/Chicago Corner.
That was nicely self-serving. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, please share the stream as often as you see it, because sometimes people don't know that we're live. Or just let people know. Tuesdays and Fridays, 7:30 p.m. Central. We try to do the streams on those days and times whenever we possibly can. Occasionally we have situations like the internet deciding it doesn't want to cooperate, or, some type of family emergency, or, one of us gets the stream flu.
And you know what we say here in Chicago? Share early, share often.
Yes. See, Kathy says she would take the job. Actually, Kathy would probably be a pretty good.
She would.
Because she would not let it go until the stuff gets fixed.
That's right.
And I'm not saying that. I'm not complaining. I'm saying she would be good.
She would get shit done, man. She wouldn't put up with bullshit.
Yeah. So if anybody, Kathy, if you contact them and you want somebody to, to say, yeah, she'd be perfect for the job, we'll do it.
We'll give you the good references.
We'll give you the reference.
Yep.
We'll do it. CTA representatives did not immediately answer questions about how customary it is for Carter to use a system without swiping his card, or how officials know he did that, because they're all full of shit.
Does it never cease to amaze you either how stupid our elected representatives or people in power think we are, or just how much contempt they have for us? For example, the head of the CIA saying he didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was when he had a meeting with him this week. Now, he didn't have the meeting this week. The head of the CIA said, "Oh yeah, the meeting I had with Jeffrey Epstein back after he'd been charged with what he was charged with is, I didn't know anything about him other than he had connections and there were financial opportunities." The head of the CIA didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was. So either he thinks we're all stupid, or that's the level of contempt they have for us, that they just don't give a fuck how blatant their lies are that we can see through, because it will never ever touch them. Like this guy here, what you just shared.
Yeah, so I'm just scrolling past the thing where they talk about all the places that he apparently swiped in. Steele said, Carter has been on the system countless times over the years and is very attuned to the day-to-day experience of CTA customers. Critics disagree. In a statement, commuters take action, acronym CTA. That's pretty clever. A group of disgruntled CTA users called for Carter's exit. Organization members Christina Marfis, Morgan Madarom, and Fabio Goatlick. You gotta be kidding me with this name. That can't be Goatlicker. That can't be a real name. That cannot be a real last name.
It's not. It's probably pronounced Gottlicher. It's definitely Got, not Goat. Gottlicher.
It's not Goatlicker?
No, it's Got.
Even though that's funnier.
For our purposes, we can call him the Goatlicker, but
Fabio G said Carter's low utilization of public transit is a sign he doesn't understand the current state of the CTA.
No, he doesn't understand. It's not that he doesn't understand. He does not care.
He doesn't care. He was based. I mean,
Goatlicker.
From my perspective, he was handed this gig because he thought it would be an easy payday.
Yeah,
and it is an easy payday for him when he's making $350,000.
Yeah.
And clearly he's being protected from somebody, or had been for a long time.
Well, look at how cozy he was in that picture with Lightfoot.
That's crazy. The organization said its members typically take transit 5 days a week, both ways, for 20 swipes a week. Along with Vasquez, the group led a charge last year for Carter to answer questions publicly after months of him skipping city council hearings. We are calling for Dorval Carter to resign immediately and for our city's leaders to only consider a replacement who fully understands the challenges and unreliability of the current system. That's Kathy. And has a vision and a plan for increasing transit service, they said in the statement. President Carter's performance has already proven he's unfit for the role.
Those are strong words.
Yeah, but he's right. Andre's right. And with the news that he doesn't even utilize the system he runs, we can't help but wonder, what will it take for the CTA board and Chicago's leadership to see that he needs to be replaced?
Oh, so Andre decided, was that for Halloween that he wore the ghost CTA thing?
The ghost bus? Yeah, I think, October 26th city council meeting, he wore the CTA ghost bus costume.
Just a piece of advice to our elected representatives from, this isn't as hilarious as the Rona Destroyer, but I don't know. Just, we don't need...
Well, look, this gimmick was apt for the time that he was wearing it. I mean, this was happening around Halloween, and he was wearing it to make a point.
But so was Rona Destroyer. It was around Halloween, and she was trying to make a point.
Yeah, but there's a difference.
Devil's advocate and being objective, Ed. We can't. I guess we can't have like a different.
Jerry, that I appreciate the devil's advocate perspective, but I think the difference is that he's an alderman and she's the mayor.
Okay, if you say so.
There's a different level of, I don't know, status or decorum that you're supposed to have as the leader of a major metropolitan city, maybe,
as opposed to the leadership of your neighborhood.
It's one you're an advocate for your neighborhood, right?
Okay.
That's how I see it anyway.
If you say so.
All right. Am I being hypocritical, or are you just?
No, I'm just teasing you. I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm just busting your balls.
You're just busting my balls. Busted my balls. Hold on a second.
But decorum is a key word there. I'm glad you brought that up, because it is all about the decorum there at city council.
Yeah. Speaking of,
you will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
But Andre's okay.
I didn't say he wasn't okay.
Oh, you're just seeing the video clip now. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a delay of you seeing the clips after they're playing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I won't do that anymore for this story. Is there any more?
Hey, is that Ron? Is that Ambassador Fuckface there? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. That was the Belmont Blue Line Canopy project.
Yeah, that had all the rain like sloshing down on people in the station. I remember Kathy talking about this, that there were like cracks in the like up above there where you saw like the canopy come down. What rain would leak through the seams between the girders and the glass. So
Unexpected waterfalls.
yeah, and if I'm remembering correctly, also there was no elevator there or escalator, one or the other. I recall that I think it was Kathy or someone was complaining about the fact that it was not handicapped accessible. I'm sure Kathy will correct me in the live chat if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think. Here we go. Carter was appointed to the role in 2015 by Mayor Rahm, quote, fuckface, quote, unquote, Emmanuel, as Jerry likes to say. Didn't we? Wait, no, that's right. Yeah,
Ambassador fuckface now.
That's right. I forgot about that part. Ambassador Rahm fuckface Emmanuel, and has overseen more than $8 billion in expansion and improvement projects, according to the agency's website. Agency's also planning a $3.6 billion, nearly 6-mile expansion of the Red Line on the south side, although some public officials had debated freezing the funding until Carter improved the transit system's reliability. That's not a terrible idea. How about you fix the system that exists before trying to expand the thing? I mean, yeah, the south side has needed an expansion for a very long time, but it can wait until you actually fix the public transit system that exists, I think. I mean, it's not ideal. And look, if you had the money and resources to do both at the same time, I'd say go and do it. But we'll have to figure out what actual money and resources exist. Hopefully Brandon Johnson will be quick at finding out what actually is in the TIF slush fund and what can actually be done to fix the parts of the city that have long gone unaddressed. All the problems, roads, bridges, potholes, other stuff. All right, that's enough of that story. It's close to 10 o'clock. Let's get through the rest of this stuff here. We had, really quick. Terry Hemmert dodged
B&H customers.
Terry Hemmert dodged bullets in New Orleans when she was attending Jazz Fest, and here's a quick story on that.
Terry Hemmert says she ducked for cover, the shooting traumatizing her and her friends. Her Facebook post describing her horror and anger. Terry Hemmert has been a longtime Chicago radio host at WXRT-FM. The known expert on the Beatles went to New Orleans over the weekend to celebrate her birthday with friends and attend the annual Jazz and Heritage Festival there. But her dinner party Friday night was interrupted by a shooting, which happened outside a restaurant. A 23-year-old waiter, who police say was the target, was killed. Meanwhile, one bullet went through the restaurant wall, hitting a 54-year-old Chicago woman who was attending Hemmert's party. Hemmert writes on Facebook, "There was blood and a bullet hole on the wall, 2 inches from me, and a bullet in my friend's back. It was surreal." Hemmert's Facebook post reflects on the trauma she experienced as 28 of her friends hit the floor to dodge the bullets. She says none of us at that gathering will ever be the same. Then she turns her thoughts on stopping gun violence in America, saying, "As long as we refuse to do something about this epidemic, we are not safe, and neither are you and everyone you love."
That's it in a nutshell.
She didn't. I mean, it's nothing we haven't like known before. Sad that she had to go through this experience to further press the point, but
yeah. Also sad.
We're a nation of amosexuals.
Yeah.
Not all of us, but.
And I don't know why this video is paused with this guy who looks like he's in some serious pain here. About maybe he's really sad about this next part here because the owner of Margie's Candies, Dr. Peter Poulos, has died.
The owner of an iconic candy shop in Logan Square has died. Dr. Peter Poulos was owner of Margie's Candies. His family says he died
That's not Logan Square.
He was 86 years old. Margie's has been serving ice cream and sweets on the corner of Armitage and Western since 1921. Poulos.
But that's not
Armitage and Western. What would you call that?
That's not Logan Square. Logan Square is where the Logan Theater is. That's like, God, at least a couple miles.
What neighborhood was that's more like? Is it closer to Ukrainian Village-ish?
Not either. It's not near Logan Square though. I mean, for them to say that's in Logan Square, it's like, no, the Logan Theater's in Logan Square. But
maybe
I mean,
Kathy knows.
Yeah, or Art. He lives close. He's near.
Yeah, I've been in Margie's Candies a couple of times over my years living in the city. I just don't remember what neighborhood it's in. Yeah.
Loss, also a doctor, was the third generation owner of the business. His family says he took pride in employing members of the community and being part of a long-standing Chicago tradition. It's frequently ranked among the best ice cream shops in Chicago. The owner of an iconic candy shop.
Iconic candy shop.
Iconic condom shop? What?
He said, let me play that again because he got his vowels all twisted up, and that's glorious.
The owner of an iconic candy shop in
iconic candy shop. All right, that was awesome. There is yeah, and now we're finally on to page 3. Yeah. Let's just do a really quick story here. Iconic candy shop. In worker co-op news.
Whoa.
Chicago's first worker-owned co-op distillery brews Cuban rum and worker-led activism.
I wonder how they swung that.
This comes from Eater Chicago. By Pierce Anderson. This is from April 27th. In 2019, Daniel Reguera became absolutely engrossed in the world of rum, its history, and how it related to his family's Cuban roots. It was only a matter of time before he was trying to make his own. Then he met Sean Ellis Hussey, a kindred spirit who shared an infatuation with rum, its infusions, and the fraught history of sugarcane. Sean was one of the first people that really pushed me, Reguera says. As the rum experiments improved, Reguera began to seriously consider starting a rum business with Hussey. To help with the business side, another friend, Gaurav Prince Jain, helped the project. Soon it began to take shape as a worker cooperative. After hundreds of Zoom calls in 2020 and 2021, the three incorporated Chicago Cane Cooperative as a limited worker cooperative association, and in spring 2022, the co-op began to produce and age rum. Now, you can read the rest of that short story in the show notes, but I thought that was a cool little worker co-op update since, we're a worker co-op here at Chicago Corner, just kind of getting our footing, trying to figure out exactly what that all entails, but it's cool to hear about other people trying to do that in Chicago, and this one is a distillery that makes rum. So very cool.
Yep.
And the final story, as soon as I can get past the ad here on this video.
It did, Diane and Terrell. This bur oak tree, I've got to tell you, ultimately grew to stand 70 feet tall. It has
They kind of just cut over to her without explaining. This was a several 100-year-old bur oak at Lincoln Park Zoo that has reached the end of its life pretty much. It's seen better days, but it existed before Chicago was even a city. And they cut it down today.
seen Chicago evolve for over 2 centuries, possibly 3. This morning, crews began cutting it down, removing it in giant pieces, and saying goodbye isn't easy.
Why? Looks healthy.
No.
A chainsaw buzzed its way through the canopy branches of this bur oak.
It's pause.
What?
Jerry?
Yeah, I'm here.
I thought you asked me to pause it.
No, I didn't say pause it. I said it looked healthy.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
I mean, as you look at
bur oak tree that's been growing in the heart of the Lincoln Park Zoo for 250 to 300 years.
It's possible that this tree witnessed the Chicago fire, witnessed, the establishment of the city of Chicago.
The tree is being removed today in pieces with the help of a crane, gently lowering sections of the majestic oak to the ground. Despite years of loving care from horticultural staff, zoo officials say the tree had reached its natural end of life.
That doesn't mean it's sick.
Died, and it was becoming a safety
Wait
risk
for
near
it.
the public pathways.
Unfortunately, for safety reasons, if one of these large branches were to fall, it would be a significant safety risk.
This morning, Michelle Solomon and her husband, Mark Burns from Lincoln Park, came to see it one last time.
We come here and I think of the memories of doing the kids doing the safari stampede and during the holiday lights where they have different things in this area. I guess it's always been there. So I don't know. It's going to be a little bit of a hole.
We don't let anything go, right? Our sports teams win once a century, so we really get excited when they win. We don't like changing names of buildings. We like to hold on to things, yes.
Last week, zoo guests wrote letters to the bur oak to celebrate its life and legacy and say goodbye. And over the weekend, Native American faith leaders gathered for a traditional blessing of the tree's eternal spirit. Meanwhile, the tree will live on. The zoo has been working with the Morton Arboretum to preserve its genetics and create a new generation of identical trees.
I love the idea that it's going to live on, right? It's lived its natural life here, but it's going to continue its life somewhere else. And I guess the Morton Arboretum, which isn't too far away.
Back here live, the tree will also be used for art and parts of it will be used for teaching. And now that it has been cut apart, zoo officials say they will be able to count its rings to figure out exactly how old it was.
Watch breaking news.
As you can see, there were some parts inside the tree that were starting to rot and wear out from the inside. And they were getting concerned about that and noticing that it was nearing the end of its life. And so they were trying to get cuttings from some of the parts that were still alive so that, like they said, they're going to try to make new trees. Whoever said they were going to be identical is full of crap, because no tree is going to be perfectly identical to the previous tree.
Yeah, I think they were watching Groot, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I am Groot. Where you just you kill one and then another one grows the same because you had a twig left over.
Yeah, but I think the new Groot is even slightly different from the other Groot. So, but yeah. So we'll take that off the screen. We are just after 10 o'clock Central Time here on Chicago Corner. I want to thank you all for joining us on a Taco Tuesday that was full of breaking news. A ton of it. And we hope to be able to follow up on some of these stories on Friday, and there will certainly be some new stuff when Jerry is steering the ship back out of the ditch after the dust storm that was this show.
Well, Ian thought it was a good show, so
well, thank you, Ian.
We'll take your word for it.
Okay, and I don't know if there's anybody in the live chat that we didn't address, but please speak up now, and we will say hello and good evening.
Or forever hold your tree.
Yes. And if not, please tune in on Friday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, and join us again, where we try to give you as much information as we can possibly cram onto the internet, and share our perspectives and analysis of stories, national and local, here on Chicago Corner. And I am Ed Heller, deep dish pizza enthusiast and part-time weird person, and full-time weird person. And with me tonight was Jerry Vasilatos.
I'm not yet.
Is
social media big mouth and crime fighter.
Yes, is Jerry Vasilatos. It still continues to be Jerry Vasilatos, and will continue.
I'm not that easy to kill.
No, he isn't, and he will prove that on Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central, where he will join us again, and I will try to join as well, as I often do, to provide some more gripping and amazing coverage of things
we hear in the streets.
Yes. So if you'd like to, please, if you're just joining us or watching us later, or you just found us, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on all the things, share this stream with everybody on planet Earth, please.
I heard some things.
And let them know we're here. And we thank you for any support that you can provide to us along those lines. And along those lines, if you would like to support us financially, head over to patreon.com/Chicago Corner, and you can make a monthly donation. We even have a thing where if you're donating, was it $5 we're doing for
I've got like many
increase that.
No, like many of the things that I got to get to, I got to go over to the Patreon page and add it as a perk. If you subscribe for $5 a month, you get an opportunity to co-host the show with us at your leisure once a month.
Yeah, so if you want to co-host with us, be a guest on the show for a thing, be a Patreon supporter. Throw your 2 cents in on some of these stories. And if you have something you would like us to cover, or you have an event coming up.
Breaking news from Kathy. Margie's is in Bucktown, Logan Square. Who knew?
Okay. All right. So Western Avenue must be the kind of the borderish area there. If you have a story you would like to talk to us about, an upcoming event maybe, send an email to jerry@chicagocorner.tv. You could send one to ed@chicagocorner.tv. I don't know if I'm going to see the email right away, but Jerry sees those things all the time.
My email box is crammed.
It is. That's what she said.
Do you remember? Funny story we need to share from the meeting that we had with Kira the other day, or a week ago. We were talking about forwarding emails, and I said, Kira, if you want me to forward emails to you, I will, but I just don't want to cram your box, meaning email box. And I caught myself, and I'm like, oh God.
But I think if my Swiss cheese memory recalls, I believe she's the one who said that's what she said in that.
Yeah. But I mean, it was literally one of those moments where I was just like, I don't want her email box to get stuffed and just barraged with, because my email box on chicagocorner.tv, it's like, I never hear from you guys. I hear from like a whole bunch of other people who put me on their mailing list, and I didn't want to overwhelm Kira with forwarding everything. Hence I said, I don't want to fill your box. And I'm like, oh, but we had a good laugh about it. She's got good feelings. She knew the spirit in which I meant it.
She did. And she definitely lets us know if we've gone over the line. So I'm never worried about offending Kira.
I don't think we've ever gone over have we?
I don't.
We don't intentionally try.
Like I said, she tells us, but I mean, I try to be cognizant of the possibility of being overly offensive beyond the comedic intent, and I make efforts. With that said, I'm running out of gas, so so it's about the time of the show on the Tuesday night to just play this clip.
Fuck this noise, man!
And with that, I will say stay hydrated, take care of yourselves and each other, and make a pizza once in a while. Good night, everybody.
Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. If you would like to be a guest on Chicago Corner, please email our host, Jerry, at chicagocorner.tv.